Alright guys, this is term 1 week 8 math CA. Very easy. I'm using this PDF. It's using solving, so credit to Aya for using it because my SDP isn't working. So it's very slow with me. Okay, so anyways, let's just start. So this week we're new with two concepts: parametric equations and implicit differentiation. Alright, and we're gonna go through them one by one. So easy. So since they started with implicit, I'm going to start with implicit, but I would have preferred to start with parametric. Anyway, for implicit differentiation, it's very easy. All right, basically it's just deriving. But the problem is sometimes if you have an equation y is equal to 2x squared plus 5x plus 6, the differential, how do you derive it? You say that y prime is equal to 4x plus 5, right? This is deriving. Now, when we derived, you see how y turned into y prime? Exactly. The problem is, sometimes you can't separate the x and the y. So in cases like that, you simply just derive both sides. Okay? So over here, what are they asking for? They're saying find the value of dy by dx at the point negative 1 comma 2. Now, for the most part, I don't think you can do this even using an integral calculator, so you actually have to learn how to solve it. Okay? So, how do you derive? Simply, whenever you see something like this, you just derive both sides. Now, let's derive the left side. We have a few things to derive. You need to take it piece by piece. I don't know how this solving goes. I'm not going to even bother reading. I'm going to focus on the way I teach you, and that's it. So, let's derive left side. Let's derive right side. Let's start with the left side. 2xy plus y squared. Derive it. أول شيء, let's derive this. 2xy. How do you derive it? Isn't 2xy a product of two things? Exactly. So let's derive it. How do you derive a product rule? It's u prime v plus v prime u. U prime v plus v prime u. What's u prime? What's the derivative of 2x? It's just 2. What's the derivative of y? Which I showed you in the example when I wrote this for you. Y turned into y prime? Exactly. Okay? So u prime is 2. V is just y, so it becomes 2y. Plus v prime u. What's v? Y. What's the derivative of y? You say y prime times, what's the u in this case? 2x. You can say instead of y prime dy by dx. That's also correct, huh? It doesn't matter. عزوكم يعني. Okay, so that means the derivative of 2xy will be 2y plus 2xy prime. Cool. This is the first derivative. So 2xy turns into 2y plus 2xy prime. Plus, what's the derivative of y squared? Isn't it 2y? Doesn't y squared just turn into 2y? Most people say yes. If you said yes, I'm here to tell you that you're wrong. Why? Not y as in the letter y. Y as in no, le. Why is it wrong? Because this is a function. The derivative of y squared, it's like saying u squared. Remember when you have a function, you're deriving it? Cool, it's 2u, but you need to multiply by the derivative of what's inside, u prime. So this applies for when you're deriving y. Okay, so y applies the rule of chain rule. Okay, so the derivative of y squared will become 2y, cool, times y prime. So this here, the derivative of y squared, we're going to say 2y, y prime. Alright, so we derived this part here. This is the left side. We derived it and we got this, right? Okay, what's the derivative of the right side now? 6x plus 6. 6x plus 6 turns into 6. So how do we write this? 2y plus 2xy prime plus 2yy prime equals 6. What do they want? They want the value of dy by dx. Again, this is just a fancy way of saying y prime. So they want us to find y prime at this point here. How do you do it? You can just literally substitute instead of x negative 1 and instead of y 2. So let's do it. Instead of y we put 2, so 2 times 2 plus 2 times x, which is what? Negative 1 times y prime. We keep it as y prime because remember we're trying to find y prime. So that's the unknown in this case. Plus 2, y is what? 2 y prime equals 6. Let's fix it up. 4 minus 2y prime plus 4y prime is equal to 6. Minus 2y prime plus 4y prime gets you 2y prime plus 4 is equal to 6. 4 to the other side, you get 2y prime is equal to 2, y prime is equal to 1. Now, they said that the tangent to the curve at this point passes through the point 0, k. What's the value of k? How do you find the tangent to the curve? This is very easy. To find the tangent of the curve, remember, it's in the form y is equal to mx plus c. Now, this used to work in grade 11, grade 10, grade 9, grade 8, but for grade 12 and moving into university, it won't always work, especially when you're doing parametric. So instead, use this one here. Y minus y node equals m x minus x node. We took this many times, and it's the same thing. M is the slope, y stays as y, x stays as x, but y node and x node are basically the points. So in this case, y node will be 2, x node will be negative 1. Okay? Anyways, what do we need to find? We need to find, well, the point on the tangent. And to do that, we need the equation of the tangent. So that's why we find the equation using this. So we say y minus y node, what's the y node? 2. So y minus 2 is equal to m, the slope. Isn't the slope of the tangent, we discussed this so many times. If you're in 12S and you don't know this, it's a bit embarrassing. The slope of the tangent is equal to the value of the derivative at that point. صح? Remember when we would say what is the gradient of the curve at x equals 3? Don't you just derive and plug in 3? Same thing. They said at negative 1, 2. So the slope of the tangent, m, will be the value of the derivative at negative 1, 2. And didn't we just find that in part A? Wasn't it 1? Exactly. So it's going to be 1 as your slope, m. X stays as x minus x node. What's x node? Negative 1. So minus and then minus 1. So y minus 2 is equal to x plus 1. So y is equal to x plus 3. So substituting 0 to find k, you're going to get y is equal to 0 plus 3, which is 3. Okay, so basically the answer here will be 3. Now what are they saying? Guys, please don't forget. Always the slope will just be the value of y prime, the value of dy by dx at that point. Okay? This is old material. And I'm recording. Okay. The normal to the curve at negative 1, 2 passes through 2m. Now, normal, we know that the normal follows the same steps, but the slope of the normal is equal to negative 1 over the slope of the tangent. We know that the slope of the tangent is how much? We know it's 1, right? So the slope of the normal now would be negative 1 over the slope of the tangent, so negative 1 over 1, which is negative 1. So we apply the same exact formula, but using what? M as negative 1. So it's going to be y minus y node equals m x minus x node. Y node, we agreed that y node was what? 2. M is now negative 1. X minus x node is still negative 1. Only thing that changed is the gradient, which became negative 1. So it becomes y minus 2 is equal to negative x minus 1. So you get y is equal to negative x plus 1. Alright? So substituting 2 as your x, you get negative 2 plus 1, which is what? Negative 1. That's why the answer is negative 1. Alright. Question 2, we now have parametric. Now, there's a lot of stuff to do with parametric. I really haven't seen the rest of the quiz to judge. But for the most part, if you know the formulas, I think you can solve everything. They want you to find dy by dx. Now, what is a parametric equation? A parametric equation basically is an equation that has an equation for x and an equation for y separated from each other. Alright, so they're both separated from each other. So that means you can say that the function f of x has these two. Y is equal to t cubed, x is equal to 3t plus 3. What are they saying? They want the derivative dy by dx. In other words, what do I call this? Y prime. Okay? Now, dy by dx means you're differentiating dy with respect to x. Here, if I differentiate this, I'm differentiating it with respect to t. So you can't just directly say that derivative dy by dx is just 3t squared. No. Okay, there's a specific rule. Now, what's the rule? I'll give it to you. Very easy. To find dy by dx, or in my words, I always say y prime. Y prime is equal to simply y dot over x dot. What's y dot? What's x dot? Y dot is the derivative with respect to t, and x dot is the derivative with respect to t. So basically what you have to do is derive this one at the top, you get 3t squared. Derive this one at the bottom, you get 3. So the derivative dy by dx will just be this one divided by this one. So y prime will be 3t squared over 3. And they said when t equals 9, so you just say 3 times 9 squared over 3, and you get 81. So if you want to memorize as a formula, y prime, or the derivative dy by dx, is equal to y dot over x dot. Okay? And y dot is literally just the derivative with respect to time for y, and x dot is just the derivative with respect to time for x. Okay? As I found them here. And all you have to do is just plug in the formula. Over this over this, and you're going to get this over here. Alright, question 3. The volume of a sphere increases at a constant rate of 5 centimeter cube per second. So, as it's written here, that is your dv by dt. When the radius is 5, it increases at a rate of 1 over k pi centimeters per second, where k is a whole number. What is the value of k? Alright, so whenever you see rate questions, always, you need to link everything that's given. So when they say volume of a sphere, degree, you write down what is the volume of a sphere. It's 4 over 3 pi r cube. Okay? They said constant rate of 5 centimeter cube per second, so you write down dv. Since it's a rate, you say with dt is equal to 5. Okay? Then what do they say? They say that the radius of the sphere is 5. It increases at the rate of something. Now, they're saying that the radius is increasing at a rate. So what are they talking about here? dr by dt. So I need to somehow link dr by dt to this volume here, to this dv by dt. What do you do? If you recall, in grade 11, I used to tell you the expression you get here, deriving it will get you what? You're deriving v and in terms of r. So you're going to get dv by dr. Right? Type, what will it get you? What's the derivative here? 4 over 3 pi r cubed, 3 and 3, and you derive it. It becomes 4 pi r squared. Everyone knows how to derive this. Cool. So now you have this, and you want to find this. How do you write this in terms of this and this? Very easy. You can say dv by dr is equal to dr by dt times, sorry, other way around. It's equal to dv by dt, which is this one here, times, we have this one here, dr by dt. If you try doing dr by dt, will the dt's cancel? No, they won't. So what do you have to do? You have to flip it upside down. So it's going to become dt by dr. So this way these cancel. We're going to get dv over dr. So how much is dv by dt? Let's take a look. dv by dt we know is 5. How much is dv by dr? It's 4 pi r squared. So let's write that down. We want dt by we want dr by dt. But first we find dt by dr and then we flip it upside down. Anyways, so times dt by dr. Let's just keep it like this. Type. How do you find out what dt by dr is? You take this to the other side, so it becomes 4 pi r squared over 5 is equal to dt by dr. Again, now what do we want? We want dt by dr or dr by dt? We want dr by dt. So you flip everything upside down. So it becomes 5 over 4 pi r squared is equal to dr by dt. They said when the radius equals what? 5. So what do you do? 5 over 4 pi times 5 squared is equal to dr by dt. Then doing this, you're gonna get 1 over 20 pi is equal to dr by dt. They're asking what's the coefficient of pi? Simply 20. Always when you're working with a rate question like this, take down everything you see in the question. You see volume of a sphere, you write down the expression for the volume of a sphere, and directly you derive it. Deriving this, since it's v in terms of r, you get dv by dr. Then you see constant rate of 5 centimeter cube per second, so that means you write dv by dt equals 5. Always write down all your givens. Okay, cool. So now you have this here, you have this here, and you have this here. Alright, then they say that the radius is increasing at a rate. So radius dr by dt, that's what radius is increasing as a rate. They want that, they want to find that. So you want to find dr by dt somehow by working with this one here and this one here. So you write down an expression. Once you write down the expression, you just substitute all the values. dv by dr, we found it to be 4 pi r squared. dv by dt is given 5. and then dt by dr, we're trying to find it. We found that dt by dr is equal to this, but we don't want dt by dr, we want dr by dt. So all you have to do is just flip it upside down, and it becomes this, and substitute the radius 5 that they told you to substitute, and it becomes this. Now another way to solve this, if you see this in your exam, a nice shortcut to do is always use this. The answer will be always whatever you get here times 1 over 4 pi r squared. Okay, so it's gonna be 5 over 4 pi times 5 squared, which is 1 over 20 pi. And what's the coefficient of pi? 20. So whenever you see this in your exam, all you do is just use this rule. Whatever dv by dt is over 4 pi r squared. This will work every time. Anyways, if it looks like this, only if it looks like this. Let's continue. A function is defined implicitly like this, and they want the slope of the tangent to the graph at 1, 1. So if we want the slope of the tangent at the graph, yani what do we need? We need the value of y prime at that point. Remember, the slope of the tangent is the value of the derivative, right? So y prime at x is equal to 1. Now, this is implicit differentiation, so we need to do it one by one. But it doesn't look too hard. So let's take a look. How do we derive this? Let's derive both sides. Let's first start with the left side. 2x cubed plus 2x plus y squared minus 3y is equal to 2. Let's do the left side. What's the derivative of 2x cubed? 6x squared. For x, you don't have to multiply by x prime. Only for y. Okay? Okay, plus, what's the derivative of 2x? It's 2. What's the derivative of y squared? We agreed on this. It's 2y times y prime. Okay? Minus 3y, so that means minus 3. What's the derivative of y? Y prime. Now, what's the derivative of the right side? 0. Perfect. So what do we need? We need to find what y prime is equal to. So what do we substitute? X is equal to 1 and y is equal to 1. So let's do it. 6 times 1 plus 2 times 1 y prime minus 3 y prime is equal to 0. 6 plus 2 is 8. So 8 plus 2y prime minus 3y prime is minus y prime is equal to 0. Take y prime to the other side, you're going to get y prime is equal to 8. Okay, so this is let v and u be functions of time, whatever, and they gave you the function. And they said that at t equals 0, the value of v is 3, and dv by dt is negative 2. Find the value of du by dt at time t equals 0. Basically, now we're used to saying, instead of dv by dt, we're used to saying v prime. Instead of du by dt, we're used to saying u prime. So basically, they want us to find u prime. And how do we find u prime? Similar to every single one we did, you just have to derive both sides to find u prime. So let's do it. 2v, we have to derive both sides. Let's derive the first side. And 2v to the power 4 becomes 8v to the power of 3. 24u becomes 24u prime equals v cubed u. Now this is a product rule, so let's put it on the side. V cubed u, let's derive it. Isn't it u prime? Isn't it, let's say, instead of u and v, let's say, isn't it f prime g plus g prime f? I would usually use u and v, but since they're using u and v in the actual question, we can't use u and v. So f prime will be what? 3v squared. Okay, going back before I continue, the derivative of 2v to the power 4 is not 8v cubed. I forgot to multiply by v prime. Remember, since we're talking about other letters, not x, we have to always multiply by the derivative of what's inside. Anyway, so going back to here, applying the product rule on v cubed u is going to become 3v squared v prime. Remember, always multiply by v prime times g, which is u, plus g prime. So what's the derivative of u? U prime. And then f is just v cubed. So let's like simplify this a bit. 3v squared v prime u plus u cube u prime v cube. So this is the derivative of this. So over here, instead of v cube u, the derivative we'll just say 3v squared v prime u plus u cube v cube. Sorry, u prime v cube. Okay, so now we have this. What do they want us to find? They want us to find u prime. Now, what do we know? We know a couple of things. We know that actually v is 3. So instead of v, we can put 3. So 8 times 3 cubed. And we know that v prime is negative 2. dv by dt is the same as negative as v prime. So it's negative 2. So instead of v prime شو هنحط negative 2 plus 24 u prime. We're trying to find u prime. We're just going to keep it as u prime. Equals 3v squared. What's v? Again, v is what? 3. So we're going to say 3 squared. v prime again is negative 2. Okay. Here you have u. Alright. Plus u prime v cube. Again, we're trying to find u prime. Here we don't know u, I just kept it as u. Plus u prime. V cubed again is 3 cubed because we said v is 3. So let's clean this up a bit because it's a bit ugly. 8 times 27 times minus 2 minus 4, 32 plus 24 u prime equals negative 54 u plus 27 u prime. Now what's the problem here is that we have two unknowns. So we need to know what u is before we can proceed. How do we figure out what u is? They told us that over here, they told us that v is equal to 3, and we can simply find u, right? If v is equal to 3, then we can just solve for u. So let's take this down. To find u, we substitute v is equal to 3. So 2v4 plus 24u equals v cube u. Substitute v as 3, you say 3 to the power 4 plus 24u is equal to 3 to the power of 3 times u. Now this is just simple math. You can solve for u over here. You're gonna get 2 times 81. That's 162 plus 24u is equal to 27u. Okay, and then taking that there, you're gonna get 3u is equal to 162. So u is equal to 54. Nice and easy. U is 54. So now we can go here and put in u as 54. And solving for u prime, we can easily get it. So it's going to be minus 2916 plus 27 u prime, 1 and 24 u prime, 1 and minus 432. This goes there, this goes there. So you get 2484 equals 3 u prime, because 27 minus 24. So u prime is equal to 828 because you divide by 3 on both sides. Alright, now question 6. A curve has this equation which has two vertical tangents. Now, what does a vertical tangent mean? That means the slope of the tangent is equal to undefined. Okay? When we say it's vertical tangent, yani the slope of the tangent is undefined. So that means y prime is what? Undefined. Because isn't the slope of the tangent just the value of y prime? Yep. So let's find y prime. How do we do it? Derive both sides. Yellow. We got the gif. I think you guys get the hang of it now. What's the derivative of y squared? It's 2y, y prime. Always, if it's not x, then you have to multiply by the derivative of what's inside. Minus. Now, 11xy, since it's product rule, what do? We take it to the side, and we derive it on the side. Product rule. So u prime, v is what? Y prime. Y. Plus v prime, what's the derivative of y? It's y prime. U is what? 11x. Just a reminder, this is product rule. So this is the derivative of this. So it's going to become minus 11y plus 11xy prime plus 32x squared. Since it's just 32x squared, the derivative of it's going to be so easy. 64x is equal to 0. Now, let's so distribute this minus a bit. 2xy, 2y y prime minus 11y plus minus 11x y prime plus 64x is equal to 0. They want it to be y prime to be undefined. To do that, when you get a question like this that you need to find an expression for y prime. And when you do this, when you want an expression for y prime, that means you need to have y prime alone. So what you do is this. Follow these steps carefully. Keep the y prime terms together and move everything else. Well, the second step is factor out y prime and make it a norm. Let me show you. What's the first step? Keep the y prime terms together and move everything else. Which terms don't have y prime? This one here and this one here. So let's move them to the other side. So it's going to be left with 2y, y prime, minus 11x, y prime, equals 11y minus 64x. What's the second step? Factor out y prime and make it a norm. Now, factor out y prime, you're going to get y prime, 2y minus 11x, equals 11y minus 64x. So we just found our expression for y prime. It's it's 11y minus 64x over 2y minus 11x. Nice. So we found our y prime. So if you want, we agreed that y prime has to be undefined. If you want it to be undefined, yeah, in this denominator here has to be equal to what? Has to be equal to 0. So that means we're going to take it to the side over here. We're going to go to the top. That means 2y minus 11x is going to be equal to 0. Now, we can't really do much, but let's just work with what we have. We're going to get that 2y is equal to 11x, and therefore y is equal to 11 over 2x. Now, you really can't do much, again, but you have another expression with y and x. So what are we going to do? We're going to take this y is equal to 11 over 2x, because we're trying to figure out what x is. So what are we going to do? We're going to substitute y in terms of x now. So what are we going to do? Y squared, so 11 over 2x squared, minus 11 x y. What's y? Again, it's 11 over 2x plus 32 x squared is equal to 75. Let's continue solving. This is going to become 121 over 4 x squared minus 121 over 2 x squared plus 32 x squared is equal to 75. You get this? Okay, and you get, let's simplify, 121 over 4 minus 121 over 2, whatever, plus 32, whatever. You get 7 over 4, so 7 over 4, x squared is equal to 75. So you get x squared is equal to 300 over 7, if you cross multiply. And that means, what are the two answers you get? It's going to be plus minus radical 300 over 7. So what's k going to be equal to? 300. Now question 7, they're giving you this is y, and they want you to derive like once or twice. Alright, so let's derive. What's the dy by dx? What's the derivative of sine? It becomes cosine x plus y, and obviously since it's a function, you have to multiply by the derivative of what's inside. What's the derivative of what's inside? The derivative of x is 1. Let's like put it on the side. Derivative of x plus y. What's the derivative of x plus y? It's 1 plus y prime, right? Because derivative of x gets you 1, derivative of y gets you y prime. Cool. So the answer becomes 1 plus y prime cosine x plus y. Nice. They want it at pi comma 0. Akid, make your calculator radians, huh? So what do you do? 1 plus hold up. Yeah, 1 plus y prime cosine x plus y is equal to y prime. Why is it equal to y prime? Because we're deriving both sides. This will get me y prime equals, and then the derivative of this is this. Okay, so that's why you can say that y prime is equal to this over here. Right, so y prime is equal to this. And how do you find it? So easy. Okay, you do cosine x plus y, which is what? X is pi, y is 0, so you do 1 plus y prime cosine pi plus 0 is just pi equals y prime. Can we find y prime now? Of course we can. Cosine pi is negative 1, so 1 plus y prime times negative 1 is equal to y prime. So that means negative y prime minus 1 is equal to y prime. So you get, take this other side, 2y prime is equal to negative 1, so y prime is equal to negative half. Now they want d squared y over dx, or basically the second derivative. So we have over here whatever this is, we just have to like derive it another time. So right now we have y prime is equal to 1 plus y prime cosine x plus y. We need to derive this a second time. So what's it going to be? Y double prime is equal to, this is two functions being multiplied by each other. So we have to use the product rule. Okay? How do you do it? Product rule. What's the derivative of 1 plus y prime? It's 0 plus y double prime, right? And what's the derivative of cosine x plus y? It's 1 plus y prime negative sine x plus y. Why is it 1 plus y prime? For the same reason over here. I explained it up here, huh? Because you have to multiply by the derivative of what's inside. The derivative of what's inside is this. Anyway, so now we have our u, we have our u prime, we have our v, and we have our v prime. So can we do product rule? Of course we can. So it's going to be 0 plus y double prime prime. I'll just keep it as 0 as y double prime prime times v, because it's u prime v plus v prime u. So u prime times v plus v prime times u. So negative sine x plus y times 1 plus y prime. This is all v prime times u, which is 1 plus y prime. Alright. So we now have this expression for y double prime. We know that we found y prime to be negative 0.5. So instead of y prime, I can actually just substitute that. So we're going to get y double prime is equal to y double, we don't know what y double prime is, cosine x plus y again is pi plus 0 minus sine again pi plus 0, which is pi, times 1 plus negative 0.5 times 1 plus negative 0.5. Now what's the problem is, this gets you 0. So that means it will also be 0. So you're going to get that y double prime equals y double prime cosine pi. Well, therefore y double prime is equal to y double prime cosine pi, which is negative 1. So you get y double you get y double prime equals negative y double prime. Take it to the other side, you get 2y double prime is equal to 0. Dividing by 2, you're going to get y double prime is equal to 0. Okay, look. Now I said previously that if they ask for the question, all you do is just whatever number they give you for dr by dt, you divide it by 4 pi r squared. That was when they were asking about the value of sorry. Whatever number they gave for dv by dt, not dr by dt. This is when they would use to ask you for dr by dt. But now they're not asking you for this. Not asking for dr by dt. They're asking you for the rate of the volume. So they want dv by dt. Now you could just swap things around, and this could go there, and this could go there. That's fine. But I'm not here to teach you there. I'm here to teach you actually how it's solved. Okay, so very easy. Like I told you, when they tell you it's increasing at the rate of 2 centimeters per second, so the first thing you write on your scratch paper is dr by dt is equal to 2. Then they said radius is 4. Then they said the rate at which the volume of the sphere is increasing. So we're talking about volume of a sphere, but you have to write this. Right? I told you volume of a sphere, and you write down the formula. And after doing that, you always derive. Okay, and what do they want? They want the rate of the volume increasing, so that means rate of volume, and always dt is when you're talking about rate, so dv by dt. They want dv by dt. So we need to link this one, and this one. How do you find dv by dt? dv by dt is just dv by dr multiplied by dr over dt. So it's just multiplying this one by this one. Why? Because these two cancel and you get dv over dt. Okay, now what's dv over dr? 4 pi r squared. What's dr by dt? It's 2. What's the radius? It's 4. So it's going to be 4 pi 4 squared times 2, and you get 128 If you see this in the exam, this one, not like the other one where they're asking for the rate of the volume, you can simply multiply 4 pi r squared times dr by dt. So it's going to be 4 pi 4 squared times 2. So you get 128. This one, question 9, so easy. The radius of a sphere increases from 5 centimeters to 5.01. They're saying find delta V using this formula. Delta V is equal to V prime delta R. So easy, wallah, so easy. What is V of a sphere? V of a sphere is equal to 4 over 3 pi r cubed. So what's V prime? Isn't it just the derivative? Exactly. So it's just going to be 4 pi r squared. So using this formula, we can find everything. So V, 4 over 3 pi r cube. Sorry, no. Delta V is what we're trying to find. So you keep the delta V as unknown. We don't know. So V prime is what I wanna put. So V prime is gonna be 4 pi r squared times delta R, right? So we need to find this. Now, what do we know? We're going from 5.0 to 5.01. Which one do you think we use? We use 5.0 because that's the initial radius that you're working with. Alright? So 4 pi 5 squared times delta R. What's the change in radius from 5 to 5.01? 0.01. They said use pi as 3.14. So you're gonna get, if you use pi as 3.14, you're gonna get, this is equal to كلها بعضها 3.14. Okay? All you have to do, find the expression for V prime and multiply by delta R and you get the answer. Part B, same thing, S prime delta R. What we found now, this is the surface area, right? I think you guys know that the surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared. They're saying S prime. So what's the derivative of 4 pi r squared? 8 pi r. So what do you do? S prime, which is 8 pi r. You find the derivative. That's the first step. It's 8 pi r times delta r. Now, what radius are we using? 5. So it's going to be 8 times pi, which I'm just going to write down as 3.14 because they told me to use it, times the radius. What are we using? 5 equals, times delta r. I finished this part. Now I'm doing delta r. From 5 to 5.01, what's that? 0.01. And you get 1.256. Alright, this is really easy. They're saying a particle starts moving at t0, and they said that the position is this. They're saying, one is the particle moving to the right. When you say moving to the right, yani velocity is positive, right? Type, we have position. How do we get an expression for velocity if we have position? You know that velocity is the derivative of position. So velocity is equal to the derivative of the position with respect to time, which is what? 3t squared minus 66t. That's it, 3t squared minus 66t. We want to check when is it positive. It's a quadratic. How do you check when a quadratic is positive? You have to check its roots. So we equate it to 0. Check its roots. You get 3t outside, you get t minus 21 equals 0. So you get two solutions, t is equal to 0, and 22 minus 21. The other t is 22. So you get these two solutions. Now, how do you figure out where is it positive, where is it negative? You do the table of sign, pretty much the same thing. So what I like to do, I list my roots. Obviously, at the root, it's going to be 0. In between the roots, we're always what? Negative. After the roots, we're positive. Now, since they said that t is restricted to only positive values, so that means all of نحن اتفقنا, we're looking to see when is v positive. Now, according to our table, it's also positive to the left of 0, but we're not going to count it because they said t can only be bigger than 0. So where is the other positive region? Everything after 22. Okay? So for this type of question, all you have to do is derive twice. Okay, when you see something like this, when they give you a position and they want you to find when is the maximum velocity, basically the velocity graph will look like, how can I say this? Will look like, it will be a quadratic with negative coefficient. It's going to look like this. Okay, now the maximum velocity will be over here, and this is for the velocity if it was a velocity function, it would just be the maximum point. And how do you find that? You'd find that by deriving the velocity and equating it to 0. But we don't have velocity, we have position. So to go from x, we need to go to v. So before we reach v prime, we need to go from x to v, and that's deriving x once. Then going from v to v prime, that means you're deriving x a second time. So basically, if you see this question tomorrow, okay, all you have to do is take your function and derive it twice. Oh my days. Derive it twice and equate it to 0. Now, it's very easy. So the solution is right here. All of you, everyone watching this should be able to derive twice and figure out what the value of t is. And then, so you'd say x of 3 because that's the time, because it's x of t. So you put the time. Then you find out how much is the distance. How would you do that? Simply substitute the 3 here, and you're going to get 90 meters. Guys, this one is so easy. Question 12. They're saying when is it moving in the negative sense, and when is it negative velocity? Come on, guys, when is the velocity negative? Bam, bam, bam. So from 10 until 33. Really, I'm not going to explain this. So easy. The velocity time graph of a particle moving on a straight line, again, is Hake, and the velocity time is hours, velocity is measured in kilometers per hour. The acceleration of the particle when it is speeding up at the fastest rate is what? Alright, أول شيء, I don't know, I don't really read anything written here. When we say speeding up, it's change in velocity, right? So it's change in velocity. Now when we took a look at the change of velocity, when we want the fastest rate, you look at the steepest one. Now which one here is the steepest one? Let's take a look. You have a few segments. I don't think it's going to be this one. It's obviously not this one. It could be this one. It could be this one. Maybe this one from here to here. Obviously not this segment, and this one doesn't really look like it. So now one way I like to look at it without calculating and dividing numbers is I look, this one is the rise is 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. The run is 1 square. So the steepness is 4. Here the rise is 1, 2, 3 squares over the run, which is 1 square. So the steepness is 3. So it's obviously not going to be this one. Over here the rise is 2, 4, 6 squares over how much run? 1, 2. So it's 3. The steepness is 3. So it's not going to be this segment either. So we're left with which segment? One segment, it's this one here. So how do we check it? So easy. It's the same as this, but this segment is the same as the last one. It's the same exact thing. Okay. How do we check it? So easy. Okay. But wait. Okay. Let me erase. Hold up. Now, what I told you now would be true if they said in general the magnitude of the acceleration, but here they said speeding up. So I have to take the ones that are sloping upwards. So this one is definitely wrong. This one's definitely wrong. Okay, this one looks very wrong. Well, this one's wrong. So what do? You only have to just calculate the acceleration from here to here. Okay, how do you calculate it? It's just the slope of the line. So 60 minus y node, which is minus 30, over from 6 till 4. So that's 2. So you get 90 over 2, which is 45. So easy. Alright, question 14. This comes in the exam, by the way. What do we have left? 15. Oof. Let's do them. That's a lot. I'm not going to look at that. Let's stay here for now. Okay? I think I'm going to take this to open board because I have no space. Alright. Let's go. Y squared minus 6y equals 3x squared minus 1. We want to find the derivative. So what do? We derive both sides, right? Derivative dy by dx is the same thing as saying find me y prime. Okay, so let's find y prime. All you have to do is derive both sides. Let's derive the left side. What's the derivative of y squared? It's 2y y prime. What's the derivative of 6xy? Again, we have to use quotient rule. Sorry, as the product rule, not quotient rule. 6xy. How do you derive it? It's product rule. U prime. تعبت ضل اكتب الرule, guys. I think you guys know it at this point. U prime is 6. V is y. Plus V prime. The derivative of y is y prime. U is 6x. So we're going to do minus 6y plus 6xy prime. Okay? So this is the derivative of the left side. We're done with the left side. Hello, we gotta do the right side. So equals 6x minus, no, 6x, because minus 1, the derivative of it is 0. Anyway, so we get this. Now, we want an expression for y prime strictly. So what did I tell you the steps were? I will actually expand it also. We have a nice equation. This is going to become 2y y prime minus 6y minus 6x y prime equals 6x. What's our job? What do we need to do? We need to make y prime alone. So what did I tell you do? Move everything that doesn't have to do with y prime to the other side. So you're going to get 2y y prime minus 6x y prime equals 6x plus 6y. After moving it, what's the second step that I said? Factor out the y prime. So factor out y prime, you're going to get 2y minus 6x equals 6x plus 6y. Take this to the other side, you're going to get y prime is equal to 6x plus 6y over 2y minus 6x. Now you're going to look at the answer, you're going to see why is it 3, 3 minus 3. Good question. What they did is they factored out 2 up and down, so it's going to be 2, 3x plus 3y over 2 y minus 3x. Cancel, cancel. You're going to get 3x plus 3y over y minus 3x. So 3x plus 3y and y minus 3x. Now, part B, they said find the second derivative. I'm just going to continue down from here. We now have an expression for y prime, and it's this. Okay, we need to now derive this one more time. So let's derive it a second time. Deriving another time, we're going to do left side and right side. So y prime will become y prime prime. And then the right side, we have to derive 3x plus 3y over y minus 3x. Now, this is a fraction, so we have to use quotient rule. So how do you derive 3x plus 3y over y minus 3x? It's quotient rule. It's a derivative of up u prime v minus v prime u over v squared, right? Type, what's u prime? It's the derivative of 3x plus 3y. What's the derivative of 3x plus 3y? 3 plus 3y prime. That's what u prime. That is the derivative of the numerator. You know what? If it makes your life better, let's find what u prime is and v prime is separately, and then we're going to combine them. What's the derivative of the numerator? It's 3 plus 3y prime. What's the derivative of the denominator? It's y prime minus 3, right? The derivative of y is y prime. The derivative of minus 3x is minus 3. Anyways, so now we can combine these. U prime, so 3 plus 3y prime. V, which is y minus 3x. Minus v prime, which is y prime minus 3. U is 3x plus 3y. All over v squared, so y minus 3x squared. What do we have to do? We gotta distribute. Unfortunately, we have to distribute. You actually have to do this. 3 times y, 3y. 3 times minus 3x minus 9x. 3y prime times 3y, 3y prime times y is 3y prime y. 3y prime times minus 3x is minus 9xy prime. Minus y prime minus 3x plus 3y becomes 3xy prime plus 3y y prime minus 9x minus 9y. Alright, all over y minus 3x squared. Now we should be able to cancel a few things. I can see that we can cancel this with this, because the minus over here. I can see that we can cancel not much, actually. We can't really cancel anything else. You can cancel minus 9x with this minus 9x, because the minus here. Alright, now we canceled a few things. Let's continue. Let's simplify. 3y minus 9y, so it's like saying 3y plus 9y, so it becomes 12y. So we're done with these. And minus 9 minus 3 becomes minus 12xy prime all over y minus 3x squared. This is equal to y double prime. Are we done? I wish. Wallah, I wish. But we're not done, because we know that y prime is equal to this. So what do we have to do? We're done, but you just have to change y prime with this over here. So you're going to get that y double prime is equal to 12y minus 12x times 3x plus 3y over y minus 3x all over y minus 3x squared. What do? You have to make these common denominator. How do you do that? You have to multiply by y minus 3x up and down. So let's move a bit to the right. So it's going to be 12y, y minus 3x up and down. To make it common denominator with this, minus 12 into 3x plus 3y with the same denominator all over y minus 3x squared. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Let's distribute this into this into this. So you get 12y squared minus 36xy minus 36x minus 36y all over y minus 3x all over y minus 3x squared. Now, I know it's a lot. Wallah, I know it's a lot, but slowly. Now this y minus 3x and this y minus 3x, it goes down to form 12y squared minus 36xy minus 36x minus 36y all over y minus 3x cube. This should be your answer. Let's check. Keep jeb 37, 72. Let's check now. 12y squared, I got it. I think I multiplied something wrong. Hey, sorry, this should have been 12x. So when you multiply by x, okay, so this should have been y. Okay, yeah, so this should have been like this, xy, and it should have cancelled out to been minus 72. Let's check now, is it correct? Yeah, minus 36, minus 72. Okay, by the way, if this was an x, yani this would become x, sorry, where is it? I did المفروض 72 xy وهيدي it should have been 36x squared. Okay, the distribution was wrong, my fault, huh? There should have been an x here. I don't know, I wrote it here but I forgot to write it here. Okay, so you get this answer. Alright, now this one I'm gonna solve orally because the solving is there. Basically, I explained to you earlier what x dot means. X dot basically means deriving x in terms of its t function, and y dot means the same thing, deriving y in terms of its t function. Now, you got x dot, then they ask for x double dot. Basically, it means you see this, derive it one more time. Okay, same thing goes for y. Y double dot basically says you see this, derive it one more time. So the solving is right here. I think everyone knows how to derive. This is using quotient rule. Alright, quotient rule. This one again, when you get this, use quotient rule. Or no, you actually don't use quotient rule. For y, for x double dot, you just use chain rule. Alright, you take the negative 2 down, becomes negative 4, t plus 1 minus 3 times the derivative of what's inside, and the derivative of what's inside is just 1. So it becomes minus 4 over t plus 1 cube. Anyways, that's not my point. Okay, my point is the solving is here, and all of you know how to use quotient rule. If you're in 12S, really, you should know. Okay, yeah, this is the quotient rule, this is the working, it's right here. So just pause, read over this. Again, thank you so much, Aya, for sending the PDF. You helped me out a ton. Okay, same thing here, y dot, just derive it once using the quotient rule, and after you get it, y double dot will just be this, derived a second time to get this. Now part C, they're saying y double dot x dot, y dot x double dot over x dot cube. You need to fill out what does that equal to. Basically, you need to like actually do it. Okay. Now y double dot, we got it as this times x dot. What's x dot? It's this minus y dot, which is this, times x double dot, which is this, alright, and over where was it, over x dot cube, so 2 over t plus 1 squared all cube. Now how much is it going to be equal to? It's going to be equal to 0. Why? Let's see. Okay, yeah, basically the minus that's here should have been here. It was a mistake from the PDF. Anyway, so you get this. Now, if you're half decent at math, you know that this will get you minus 16. Well, this will get you minus 16. And you have the minus in the middle. So you have minus 16 minus minus 16. And I think all of you know that's equal to 0. Okay, so easy. You just fill this in as 0. Now, y double prime. If you remember, y prime was y dot over x dot. Y double prime is y dot x double dot minus y double dot x dot over x dot cube. So when you found this, you're basically finding y double prime. But they don't tell you that. That's why they're asking you a follow-up question. So if this is equal to 0, what does this mean y double prime is equal to 0? All you have to do is put in the same value, because that's actually the formula for y double prime. So if this is 0, this is also 0. Alright, then they say eliminating t from this gets you this. Eliminating t from this. So when they say this, that means they want you to write y in terms of x without the t. How do you do this? It's so easy. Okay, that means you need to find t equals something, and then that t equals something, you substitute another one, that means you get rid of the t. How do you do it? So easy. First one here. Let's find an expression for t. Cross multiply. You get tx plus x is equal to t minus 1. Right? Tx plus x is equal to t minus 1. Okay, and finding expression for t, you can factor out x here, you get t plus 1. Right? And you get equals t minus 1. Then dividing, oh, what the fuck am I doing? My fault. Since we're trying to find t is equal to something, so basically you're trying to find an expression for t is equal to something. The same way for y prime, when you want to find y prime equals something, you move all the y primes together and all the non-y primes to the other side. Same thing here for t. You move all the t's together, so it becomes tx minus t, and all the non-t's to the other side. So negative x minus 1. Take t out, you get x minus 1 equals negative x minus 1. So now you know that t is equal to negative x minus 1 over x minus 1. So you can now substitute this t value over here. So let's do it. Negative 2 negative x minus 1 over x minus 1 minus 6 over negative x minus 1 plus 1. Solve it, you're gonna get, oh my god, it's so annoying. Yeah, let's just solve it. It seems pretty annoying, صراحة. Now what she did in the PDF was multiply by this up and down to get it cancelled, which is صراحة a pretty smart idea. I think I'm gonna do that. To save us time, I want to cancel this denominator both up and down, so I'm gonna multiply by x minus 1. Okay, so it's gonna cancel it here, and over here it's gonna be multiplied, and over here it's gonna cancel it here, but be multiplied over here. So it makes your life a lot easier. So it becomes negative 2 negative x minus 1 minus 6x minus 1 all over minus x minus 1 plus x minus 1. Alright, so you get minus 2 minus x is 2x, minus 2 minus 1 is plus 2, minus 6x plus 6 over cancel, minus 1 minus 2 minus 2. Alright, 2x minus 6x, I'm going to continue up here, is minus 4x. This is when I know I did something wrong. Anyways, and then 2 plus 6 is 8 over minus 2. Divide by minus 2 up and down, you're going to get 2x. 8 divided by minus 2, minus 4. Alright, so that's your answer. 2x minus 4. So guys, this is very long. Just be patient with it, and it's going to solve with you, trust me. Okay. Question 16. Consider the curve given parametric. Now, how would you check the graph? Okay, now there's many ways to do this. I'll give you the nice easy way. Alright, so to solve this, the way that's solved in the PDF is actually pretty nice. Now, anytime you see two parametric equations, write them in terms of each other if you want to graph, because it makes your life a lot easier, especially if they're simple like this. Y is equal to 4t. You can rewrite that as, say, t is equal to y over 4. Now that you know that t is equal to y over 4, you can throw it into here. So you'll say x is equal to 6 minus y over 4 squared, because instead of t squared, I put y over 4 squared. So x is going to be equal to 6 minus y squared over 16. Cool. You now have this. Now I'm going to teach you something in math. Anytime you see y squared, the graph will look like this. Okay, or it's going to look like this. This is if it's negative y squared, this is if it's positive y squared. But here it's positive y squared. So, degré, if you know math, you're going to choose this. Okay, now let's say you don't. Let's say you've never come across y squared before. Choose a random point, like 0. 0 is going to be equal to 6 minus y squared over 16. And you're going to get the solution to this is going to be y squared is equal to 96. So y is going to be equal to plus minus root 96, which is plus minus 9.8. And if you can see here, at 0, you're at 9.8 here, and you're at 9.8 here. So that's why this is the correct graph. Alright?